Can anybody hear me, first of all? Okay, my name's Steve Mayhew. I'm the Senior Arboricultural Officer for Waltham Forest. I basically deal with everything with trees. It's street trees, parks, housing, lots of complaints, lots of inquiries, and lots of people that love trees and want them planted. We deal with all the planting, right from taking them from the nursery, planting them into street trees, to looking after them, to felling them at the end of their life. Trees are living things. They get stressed the same as we do, and they do take a lot of looking after. My background is I started off in forestry after the '87 storm. Thrown right in the deep end, wasn't quite sure what I wanted to do when I left school. Knew that I always loved being outside, working in woodlands, working in parks, and so forestry seemed the natural step. At the time it was very difficult to get into. You kind of had to know somebody. I actually went up to Lincolnshire to study silviculture. Worked for a large firm called Stratton Parker, largest land agents in the country, and spent 2 years with them doing estate forestry and gamekeeping. Again, not quite what I wanted to do, but very, very interesting. A totally different take on things. After that, I went back to college and I did a course in arboriculture, whereas silviculture is looking after woodlands as a crop, so that you plant them, you watch them grow over 100, 150 years in some cases, and then it's clear felled and then you start again. Almost like a wheat field. People get really upset when they see trees in this sort of condition. The whole forest is getting felled. But it is natural regeneration. It is a process that people use to give us the products that we need for houses, for everything else. After that, I went back to college and learned arboriculture. Arboriculture, you're looking after single trees, individuals. It's more the amenity side of it, making sure the tree's healthy, looks good, and gives us the oxygen we need in towns and cities. The benefits that trees bring are substantial. Without them, we wouldn't be here. I can honestly say that. They terraformed the planet for us a couple of billion years ago, and they're still doing that works, even though we make it extremely difficult for them. The main thing at the moment is about carbon sequestration. There's a finite amount of carbon on this planet. We can't get any more, we can't get any less. It's how it's stored, how it's looked after. We're made of carbon. Everything around us is made of carbon. Right? But what's in the trees, in the ground, isn't actually in the atmosphere, so it's not causing global warming. By destroying trees, by not planting them, we're causing so much more problems, so much more grief to them and to ourselves. Everyone goes on about saving the planet. The planet will still be here when we're not. We don't have the power or the ability to destroy this planet. We only have the power to destroy ourselves. Something else will take over, whether it be insects, whether it be rodents, I know not. Who knows, maybe dinosaurs again. It's always a strange one, but we do our best to try and protect our environment, the environment we need to survive. I came back after doing tree surgery and worked for contractors. I then went off to Australia and lived out there for a year, climbing some huge trees, some eucalyptus, very different types of ways. I worked on banana plantations. Loved it out there. All the spiders, snakes, crocodiles. One of my claims to fame was I went for a beer with Steve Irving before he was famous. When I came back, I started working for a local authority as a climber, tree arboriculturalist and driver for the Borough of Hackney. Worked for them for quite a few years, then got made redundant when they decided to get rid of their tree teams. While I was at Hackney, I made my way up from being a climber up to charge hand, supervisor and arboricultural officer for the Parks Department. After I got made redundant, I went straight onto the railways. I was looking after the Piccadilly, the Northern and Jubilee lines. It took me a month to get around all 3 lines, then I'd start again. Walking the tracks on London Underground. Now everybody thinks that there's no trees on London Underground. What they don't realise is that 55% of London Underground isn't. isn't underground. It's all above. And that bit does need looking after and does need a lot of care and attention. After 5 years of doing that, and I was walking about 25 miles a day on the ballast, and it was murder. Loved it, really enjoyed it. Being outside all day, all sorts of weather, but problematic. I then got a job for Epping Forest for the District Council and worked for them for a few years. This job came up for Waltham Forest 2 years ago, just under 2 years ago. Started working for these in December 2019. About 2 months later, coronavirus. Everything changed, everything went mad. On the first day of coronavirus, we were made key workers and had to work right the way through it. We had to keep the parks open, the roads, everything else. We still had to look after the trees. So everywhere where anybody else was being furloughed or working from home, we were still strolling the streets, looking after the trees, making sure everything was safe and green, and checking, of course, the environment. A lot of people try to come into tree surgery, forestry and that, and it's hard work, very hard work. You're out in all aspects of nature, in all weathers. You've got to be physically fit, whether you're climbing, whether you're carrying chainsaws, whether you're doing that kind of equipment. It's noisy and it's dirty. The pollution, the dust. Trees are brilliant at taking dust and pollution, all the pollutants from the atmosphere, from our cars, from railways, from everything around us, plastics, and they store in the leaves. Once the leaves drop off, they biodegrade and go back into the soil. If leaves didn't fall, we wouldn't have decent soil. It's been doing it for millions of years. It's just us that keep messing up. And most of my complaints, of course, are the leaves are falling off the trees. How do I clear them up? They're slippery. I've never known anybody to actually slip over on a leaf, but everybody worries about it. I'm going off my train of thought now, aren't I? Has anybody got any questions?
Could you tell us a day in the life? Like, what is your job on those days?
Nowadays, I spend too much time in the office. First of all, we're looking at inquiries, any complaints, any problems, any danger. Waltham Forest is 20 square miles. We have 50,000 trees, about 30,000 street trees that could be problematic if not looked after correctly. Of course, the built environment is very hostile to them. You know, they're meant to be growing in woodlands together and all that. We stick them in places where it's all concrete. You're getting heat islands, you're getting refraction, you're getting radiation from the sun. They're getting magnification from glass. It keeps coming across them. They're getting burnt, in the winters they get covered in oils, petrols and salt. Whereas we don't want to fall over, we put salt everywhere. Irrigation is one of my biggest problems. We don't like getting wet, so we put down concrete. We don't like getting muddy, so we put in drains and everything else. The water's not going back down into the system, not into the water table. So it's just getting flushed into the drainage, it's getting flushed away. Water is like carbon, it's finite. There's only a certain amount of it on this planet. We can't get any more, we can't get any less. It's how we manage it. And so far, we manage it very poorly. And again, it's going to come back and it's going to bite us where we don't want it to. A day in the life, sorry. I went off on a bit of a tangent. My first part of the day is to find out if there are any emergencies, anything problematic, look on the computer, any phone calls, see what's happening. Check with my contractors, see if they've come across anything, what's happened during the evening, that night. A lot of times it's vehicle damage, vandalism of trees. Sometimes it's quite heartbreaking, you know, you're looking after these kind of things and people that just don't understand that they are living, breathing things. They're dynamic, they move, they change, they get stressed. Just the same as we do. Only they've been around for a couple of billion years longer than we have. So I look for any problems, any emergencies, anything like that. That's all prioritised. Then I'll sort out the things that aren't emergencies. You know, there's a route coming up through the pavement or something like that. So we'll go and sort that out. Sometimes I'll talk to the person directly, write an email. Other times it's better to go and actually look at the problem, see if it is actually a problem or whether it is just somebody blowing smoke, complaining for the sake of it. Furloughing was murder for us. Our inquiries went up fourfold. We'd get phone calls and emails. The tree's too big, can you come and cut it? People don't realise trees are like us. They've got a certain height, a certain width they grow to. It's how nature's designed them to be. By keep cutting them back and cutting them back, you're actually encouraging them to grow thicker and larger. So by continually pruning, you're actually causing more problems than if you can leave them in their maiden form, as nature intended. Again, it's us that mess things up.
Just wondering, obviously, like cutting them down is like the last resort. What kind of checklist do you go through before you get to that stage of making that decision?
I'd like to say it was all down to the health and vitality of the tree. Whether it's diseased, whether it's dead, we'd take them down. But nowadays, it's subsidence claims. I get a lot of those. I can spend 2 days or 3 days just dealing with one subsidence claim. People like their houses to be pristine. They get a small cracker coming in. Years ago, you'd go and fill it with polyfiller. You wouldn't even worry. 1971, that was the year that subsidence came into mainstream. Before that, you had to put your finger in the hole to say if it was subsidence or not and be able to see it actually move. In 1971, a house owner took their neighbour to court over the tree. The judge found in favour of the house owner against the tree owner, and it opened the floodgates. I don't know if any of you lot are old enough to remember, but there was national press, chainsaw massacres, and well, that was the year I was born actually, so I wasn't around much then, but that's what started it off. For about 10 years, trees were being felled just on the off chance they may cause damage. It wasn't until they started to look into it that they realised you only get subsidence, or you only get tree-related subsidence, on clay soil. And the idea is that clay is like a sponge. You put water into it, it grows. You take the water out, it goes down. Generally speaking, with the natural seasons and natural processing, it's going to move on its own. Well, if you've got a tree there, and once the leaves come onto the tree, it takes up a lot more water. It puts it into the atmosphere. Translocation, we call it, or transpiration rather. Translocation is food, bring up for the tree roots. It actually cools. If you're standing on a hot day underneath the shade of a tree, you're actually so much cooler than having an umbrella or standing underneath a building, because it's putting moisture into the air. It's better for you. It's giving you the most pure oxygen. It's giving you the moistures. When the leaves drop off during the winter, it actually has its own little eco-climate. It's its own environment. So it's actually warmer if you're walking through a little woodland, not just because you're taking away the wind factor and the chill, but they actually still transpire to a certain degree. So it's usually a degree or two warmer than being outside the woodland or from outside the canopy of the trees. We have trouble with heat islands, we have trouble with evaporations, things like that. It's actually the trees that are stopping this from happening. With subsidence claims, people don't realise that by removing the tree, you're actually taking away the roots, you're taking away the anchorage of the soils, you're taking away how it's going to go into the water, into the system. Trees act like an umbrella. Every leaf is designed to catch as much sunlight as it can, as the sun rises and sets, and as much water as it can. The water's taken to the drip line, which is right on the boundary of it, if you imagine an umbrella, or it's dragged back towards the trunk. From that point of view, the tree knows where the water is, it knows where to go, and that's where it puts most of its feeding roots. Right. They do move about, they will explore. If there's water on one side, biggest problem we have is drainage. Tree roots will not go out and damage drains. But if you've got a leaking drain, they're going to exploit that. And you can't blame them for doing so. Once they exploit the drain, they'll put roots into it, and that can actually cause it to become worse. But if the drain's in a pristine condition, then there should be no problems at all. Where was I? A day in the life of. Generally speaking, as long as there's no emergencies, no problem branches or anything like that, and that's all sorted, then we have a look around for pests and diseases. We're having lots of trouble this year with OPM, oak possessory moth. This has come in from the continent, came in about 10 years ago, brought in by a landscaper who put in some fastigiate oak trees not far from Kew Gardens. One of the worst places you can put them, of course. You've got some lovely trees around that area. And of course, these, well, the story behind it was they built an estate. They planted 10 of these fastigiate oak trees. Right? Lovely looking trees, really nice on the estate. The only problem was about a year later, the residents of this particular estate started getting rashes, started getting skin problems. And because it was all localised, they went to the same GP. He looked into it and got a, I can't think of the word now, for somebody that studies insects. Entomologist, that's the word I was looking for. Thank you kindly. And he actually located this particular caterpillar. Unfortunately, we didn't eradicate it then, and it's moved on. And now it's right across all of London.
We have it here on site too.
On site, yeah? Larkswood is one of the places I've come across it. I came across about a dozen nests last year across the borough. This year I'm more almost into the hundreds. It's a real gutter for me because I did a little stint on the railways, and in that time I was clearing up OPMs, actually climbing the trees and removing them from the trees. The nests can be anything from the size of a 50p piece to a football. And up until the 6th fin stage, they're harmless and very good fodder for finches, blue tits, great tits, that sort of thing. It's when they get to the 6th stage, they start getting the hairs on them, and the hairs become very irritant. Where they've had them in Holland and France, they'll actually divert sporting events. The Tour de France will be diverted because of OPMs. They'll close down schools, hospitals, in really bad conditions. We haven't had anything like that here, and hopefully we won't get it. It's not a new bug, but in this country it's new. The males have been coming across here forever, and the females are poor flies, so they could never get across the channel. So we've been protected from that, being an island. Unfortunately, it was us that brought them in.
What about when they become butterflies? Are they just as evil?
Sorry?
When they become butterflies, are they just as evil?
No, perfectly harmless. It's only during this stage when they're caterpillars.
Teenage years, I know that.
Yes, oh yes. For their adolescence, they're little pains. But you'll always see them when they're moving along. They are the procession off because they will head off in processions, nose to tail with the one in front of it. And they'll also put down little silk trowels for where they're going. Funny looking things to see and moving about. But most hairy caterpillars do have a certain kind of toxin to them, so wise not to touch anything like that. And tell that to your kids as well. But again, it's just nature. It's just the way things have evolved. So I'm out looking for pests, diseases. We have a trouble at the moment with Dieback Calaria. Haven't come across that much in this borough. Epping Forest, I came across a little bit of it, but I was just talking to a colleague from Kent, and they've been quite inundated with it. The problem with Dieback, or one of the good things with Dieback, it doesn't affect every tree. There's quite a bit of resilience. Unfortunately, too many people are going in there and clear felling because they want to try and kill everything that's there, but you're going to lose that resilience. Nature always finds a way. It'll always go round. It'll always repair itself. Any other questions? Will that do me? That's good. Thank you. Sorry if I bored you.
Thanks very much, Steve. Can everyone hear me? Was this mic on? Oh, good afternoon, everyone. Thanks again, Steve, for that insightful knowledge that you gave us on the work that you're doing. But my name is Kwaku Safer, and I'm the Opportunities Project Manager at the Council. And my work really is around supporting young people who want to get into employment, mainly on the Kickstart Scheme. So today I'm going to give you some information about basically what the scheme is and how you can access some opportunities, and if you want to get some experience and move forward within your careers, the way that you'll be able to do that. So in essence, the Kickstart Scheme is a scheme where there's funding available for anyone that's aged 16 to 24 who wants to gain a 6-month work placement, working 25 hours a week in a whole range of different working environments and opportunities. So as a council, we've committed to really help employers and our young people after the pandemic to really access these opportunities, support our employers who want to grow and move back into really moving the economy forward. So we've put a real effort in to really provide these opportunities for our young people. We've got over 300 opportunities that we're working on in a whole range of sectors, and it was really interesting actually, because in the talk before where we had Aston Group who were really giving some really insightful information in terms of the work that they're doing around retrofit and working around making homes more sustainable and working in a more efficient way. And those are the types of opportunities that if you are interested in actually doing the work that goes behind making those homes energy efficient and those different types of roles that are available, then there are roles of that nature. There's opportunities to work in sustainable fashion and with other partners, like we have John here who is at Create UK, who's also got a whole range of opportunities. So anyone that's really interested in terms of progressing in your career, getting some experience, maybe moving into a sector or a type of role that you may not have the experience in but would really like to learn and grow, then please speak to your work coach. They'll be able to show you all the opportunities that are available, not only with us, but also with our partners and in any other employers that have Kickstart opportunities. If you would like to contact us directly at the council, you can go on our website or contact Kickstart at Waltham Forest, and we'll be happy to give you some information and support you and really help you get yourself back on the employment ladder. Or if you have maybe finished the course or are now looking for your first job, then there's the opportunities there. There are jobs available. So please speak to your work coach, because these particular opportunities are specific to only those that are on universal credit. So those that aren't working, that are looking for an opportunity, I would recommend looking at that option as well to be able to access these opportunities. And for those that already are on universal credit, please speak to your work coach. As I said, there are plenty of opportunities available. We'll be happy to support you. There's recruitment sessions going on sort of on a weekly basis with a whole range of different employers. So please feel free to contact us, and we can get things moving for you. Does anyone have any questions or want to know a bit more about the scheme? So I take it everyone knows everything about Kickstart. Yeah, I did my job. Well, thanks again, and I'll pass you on to my colleague AJ, who's going to talk about some of the future enterprise work that we're doing that is also supporting young people.
Awesome. And that's Kwaku putting us all to shame with that lovely suit you've got on today. I didn't get the memo. Just before I start to talk about the future programs, can I ask everyone to stand up, please? Can I ask everyone to spin clockwise 3 times and spin clockwise, anti-clockwise 3 times as well, and then have a seat. So that was a pointless exercise for you to remember that I made you spin around in circles. So my name is AJ Pabel. I'm the Future Programs Project Lead at Waltham Forest, and essentially my role is to support young people from our kind of borough residents, people who are studying and also working within the borough, into 4 sectors, which is the enterprise, creative, green and tech sectors. I always forget about them. And I basically do that by kind of running immersive courses throughout the year, which is kind of co-designed by industry partners such as Google, General Assembly, Arts Council England, so some amazing people doing some amazing things and running amazing organisations in and around London who are coming to co-design these programmes just for our residents. They're aimed at supporting, when I say young, between 16 and 30. I still consider myself to be a young person at 27. Some people might find that debatable. But essentially that program is all led by young people, and the idea is trying to inspire you to kind of start looking at different sectors in very different ways. So if you don't know anything about tech, this is a perfect opportunity to go through a very short course with us, which is usually about 4 weeks long, to learn about what tech is, what is coding, what is AI, VR, all that stuff. Now, I'm not a techie myself, so for me, I was actually a participant on one of those courses as well, learning about what tech is. The courses have different incentives in different ways. So we have our Future Enterprise course, which is our mayor's program, which supports young businesses to grow and start up within it. So that's kind of designed as a competition. So as well as learning how to develop your own business idea, at the end of it, you get to pitch that to a panel of judges and receive capital funding to kickstart your idea and create a business, which is amazing to see. And we've already supported 25 young businesses already, and that program will be coming back again in January. So if you do have a sustainable business idea, I recommend definitely applying. And you can always find more information about our future programs by following us on our Instagram page. So it's at futureprograms_WF. We also have our Future Innovators program coming up very, very soon, which is all about accessing the green sector. It's basically asking the question, what is a green job? What does it look like? How can we create something that's sustainable, that's green? It kind of makes it more appealing to young people today. And we have a festival coming up at the end of November. On the 29th of November, we have Forest Fest, which is co-designed by us and Our Pledge. Our Pledge is also an amazing organisation. Do check them out. Their hashtag is OurPledgeUK. And that event will be held at Crate also. John, would you like to give us a wave? Woo! So that's all about kind of looking at the green sector in a very, very different way. It's going to be designed as a festival, so we'll have some headline events, some amazing speakers as well, and then we'll also have a virtual jungle. So if you're looking to kind of play around with VR, create your own kind of forest within VR, it definitely comes out. But essentially that program is, like the whole future programs, is all about supporting and kickstarting careers within those 4 sectors that I talked about. So yeah, definitely recommend kind of even just kind of coming to one of our programs, which are very, very short. Also kind of tapping into our Future Insight events as well, which are kind of panel talks based around what's happening around the world. So we had London Tech Week a couple of weeks ago. We had an amazing panel there as well, talking about how to access tech if you can't commit to a whole program. Those little kind of insights and little nuggets of wisdom is really, really useful if you're looking to kind of pivot your careers in very different ways. I come from a creative background. I was studying fine art at university. Here I am working for local authority, but using my creativity and innovation in a very different way. So it's all about using the skill sets that you have, identifying them, and then applying it to something new. So essentially, ladies and gentlemen, that was the Futures Programme. Yes?
So if somebody doesn't have an idea that they want to pitch, but they don't quite know how to format that in a tangible way, is there any website or anything that you would suggest people go onto so that they can learn how to kind of pitch or how to kind of present a project?
I mean, John, I feel like this one's for you.
Yeah, thank you. AJ. Well, I'm pleased to say we're working with AJ on a number of different fronts, and one of the ideas that AJ first brought to us, and we've been thinking about this as well, is where do young people go to be able to learn some of those skills for pitching, or how to write that perfect application letter that goes with your CV. So what we've done in relation to small business with that problem is we just scour the English language websites and say what are the very best, when to use it, why you should use it, how you should use it, when not to use it as well. So So we took this idea and we created a young enterprise hub. Essentially, the same thing for small business and startups, but for young people progressing in their career. Pitching is in there. Putting a bid together. How to write that killer application letter, and we've done that across a whole range of sort of things to help young people progress. So yeah, it's on there. It's the Young Enterprise Hub. We're working with the Future brand, so we've not put it out under our brand. We built it, and we think much rather we get one really strong brand, the Future brand, and push it out there. So we're just launching it at the moment. And yeah, it's got some great.
Really exciting. So yeah. So yeah, like what John's just said, we will be launching that very, very soon. So definitely keep an eye on our social media or when that's launched. It's going to be a massive, amazing resource for everyone. So you can learn more about our programs, and if you want to apply for them, you can definitely apply for you there as well. Check out all the kind of amazing links that we have and resources for you to get in touch with. Obviously you can reach out to me if you just want to have a one-to-one. More than happy to do so. But yeah, does anyone have any other questions about the future programs? Yep. Yeah, so the handle for our Instagram page is futureprograms_WF, so Waltham Forest. We will be sharing loads of opportunities over there and kind of spotlighting some of our amazing alumni as well, who have gone to work with us in various different capacities. But any more questions? Yeah. So it's 16 to 30. But that really depends on program to program. So our Future Enterprise program, for example, it's a slightly older age group, so 18 to 30. Our Future Creative programs are 16 to 24. But they will kind of vary depending on what your interests are. But no worries. Just to show of hands, are you all Waltham Forest residents? Waltham Forest people who work or study? Awesome. Okay. Who considers himself a young person? I mean, Kate's like, no. But yeah, if you have any further questions, I am around if you want to get my email address or something. Happy to share that. Thank you, everyone.